Good evening and welcome into Sportszone. I am your host, Justin Ballou. The Mean Green football team returns home this weekend for their homecoming game after a huge win over the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers last Saturday. And here to preview this weekend's homecoming game against the FIU Panthers are analysts Mackenzie Freeman and Tyler Luker. Guys, let's jump right into this huge win, 40-13 the final last weekend at Western Kentucky. Mackenzie, what did you think of Austinani's performance in that game?
I was really pleased with Austinani's performance. You know, we've been talking about how he needs to get in there and throw the ball. He had 300 yards in the UTSA game and 300 yards and no turnovers this last game. So overall, I think he had a great performance.
Austinani now leads the nation in yards per completion at above 16, so really good stuff there. Tyler, what did you think of his game last weekend?
Honestly, the biggest stat that jumped out to me was the no turnovers. It was the first time since the third game against Texas Southern that he had no turnovers. 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, put Western Kentucky away, and they really never climbed out of that.
Great quarterback performance and a great performance out of this UNT running game, guys. 196 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns among these great backs. Mackenzie, how about this running game?
I like our run game. You know, when Austinani's throwing the ball like he did, we don't need, 300 rush yards. 196, 2 of our running backs scored a touchdown. That's all we can ask for.
And we wanted this run game to get back on track. They certainly did that, Tyler. How nice was that to see?
I mean, coming out of that UTSA game, it was so frustrating, like 22 yards, and then you go and have a performance like that and blow out a team that really was projected to be kind of a close matchup. It's exactly what you wanted to see out of the run game.
And we've talked a lot about head coach Seth Luttrell and his struggles over the years here. Guys, this was a huge win. Now UNT above 500 on the season. Really good conference record too. Mackenzie, was this the biggest win of the Seth Luttrell era here at UNT?
I think in terms of this season, yes. But last year, our last game of the season against UTSA, I would consider that our biggest game of the season. You know, they came into the game ranked 22nd. We didn't have that great of a season. This was the game to put us at 500 and get us into a bowl game.
And this one's certainly impressive to go on the road and beat just a high-flying offense too. So how nice was that to see, Tyler?
I mean, I don't know if it's the biggest of the Seth Luttrell era, but maybe of this current era, because the Mason Fine era is over. It's been 4 years since the 9-win seasons, and to go out and win on the road, like you said, it was crucial, and it puts us in a great position going forward.
And very few teams in the nation have dominated conference play the way that the Mean Green have over the last 10 games. 9 of their last 10 games in conference play have been wins. Mackenzie, are we now on track, being in second place, to go to the Conference USA Championship?
I believe so. Going into these next couple of games, we got WKU out of the way, so that was our biggest challenge other than UTSA. And I think, we go into these games thinking, these are the games that are going to put us into the championship. And we play like that, we're set.
Tyler, is UNT Conference USA Championship bound?
100%.
Yes.
I'm putting the money down. Yes, they are conference bound. Western Kentucky is going to have to play Rice. FAU is going to have to play FIU. All the teams below UNT are going to have to face each other, and it's up to UNT to just play up to your competition. Don't have that bad game, and punch your ticket to San Antonio.
Yeah, UNT definitely exceeding expectations over these last 2 weeks. A great game against UTSA, just fell a little bit short and then come back with a dominating win. Now this week, we're going to drop down a little bit in competition to play FIU. And it's homecoming here in Denton too. Mackenzie, how important is it to not overlook this FIU team and get a big win this Saturday?
It's very important. We have to go into this game thinking it's, a UTSA game. The last 3 games of the season, even though they may not be the most challenging games, they're going to be games that we have to win. We beat them. FIU, we beat them in all aspects of our offense, so I think we execute there and we get the win over them.
Yeah, FIU's been a bit of a surprise too. Actually 4-4 this season, 2-2 in conference play, 2 big wins too against Charlotte and La Tech the last 2 weeks. Tyler, how important is it for UNT to get this win?
I mean, you're coming into this game 21-point favorites. You have to win at home. It's homecoming. You punch your ticket to a bowl game, put yourself in prime position. It is the most important game this season. Every game going forward is the most important game, but you got to win at home.
Yeah, it's a big point spread, and 94% of people on the ESPN matchup predictor picked UNT to win. Mackenzie, give me a key to the game this Saturday.
Key to the game, don't get comfortable. A lot of coaches say that when you play a better team, you play up to their level. We can't play down to their level. This is a game we're going to have to compete. We need to shut down Grayson James. I'm sure, our offense led by Mason Richards, we can do that. and then incorporate the pass offense. Austin had 2 300-yard pass games, so why not?
Quick key to the game, Tyler.
Forced mistakes from Grayson James. In losses for FIU, he averages 1.5 interceptions. They average 2 turnovers. If UNT can get in there and force some turnovers, they're going to be in great position to win this ball game.
Well, make sure to catch the homecoming game. Well, make sure to be at the homecoming game, I should say, this Saturday as the Mean Green keep on rolling, guys. And you know who else is rolling? Is the Dallas Cowboys. Coming up next, we're to break down the Dallas Cowboys and where they sit during their bye week. Stay with us.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
The Dallas Cowboys are rolling at 6-2 on the season as they've now hit their bye week as they sit in second place in the NFC East division. Just a crazy division this year. And here to talk Dallas Cowboys are analysts Caleb Blanton and Brendan O'Donnell. Guys, what a game last week it was. 49-29 the final over the Bears. By far the most points the Cowboys have scored all season. Caleb, give me your thoughts on just a huge win last Sunday.
Yeah, the offense was really well. Tony Pollard showed once again why he should be the #1 running back. And Dak played a pretty good game overall. Only 16 completions, 250 yards. The offense did pretty much anything and everything they wanted to against a solid Bears defense.
Yeah, certainly nice to get back in the win column there. Now rattling off 2 straight wins after that Eagles defeat. Brendan, how nice was that to see?
I loved it. I mean, I've been waiting for the offense to show up. It's been fun watching this defense, but watching the offense sometimes, you just screaming at the screen, yelling. We were 30th in third downs coming into this game. Now we're 20th. Like, how things changed so fast. We went 9 for 11 this game for third down. We just couldn't get off the field. We stayed on it the whole time. Touchdowns on the first 4 drives. It was such an amazing game to watch. I loved it.
And Caleb, you mentioned Tony Pollard. Boy, did this man have the game of his life. 14 carries, 131 yards, which is good for 9.4 yards a carry, as well as 3 touchdowns. Should the Cowboys keep rolling with Zeke, Caleb? You kind of already alluded to it, but should he be running back 1 moving forward for Dallas?
Yeah, he should be running back 1. You should still give Zeke the ball sometimes, but Pollard has shown he's the #1 back in this offense. I mean, he had almost 10 yards of rush last game. That's a first down. That's crazy.
That was awesome to see. I loved it. I mean, I've been saying for a while it's like a 1A to 1B with Zeke and Pollard, but I think I always thought Zeke was 1A. I don't know if Zeke's 1A anymore. I think Zeke might be the 1B to Pollard's 1A. I've got to see Pollard get more carries. He's too explosive with the ball, like you were saying. The ball gets in Pollard's hand, he goes for 40, 50 yards. Zeke, longest run of the season, 27 yards. Pollard has 4 runs longer than that this whole season. I just trust the ball more with Pollard. running it. I love to see it. I want to see him get at least even carries because I do think Zeke can eat away a little bit at the defense with how powerful and strong he is as a back. Then bring in Pollard with some fresh legs and let him get to the outside.
Yeah, Tony Pollard actually has more yards and touchdowns and fewer attempts this season than Ezekiel Elliott. Brendan, are the Cowboys better off without Ezekiel Elliott and with Tony Pollard in there?
They're not better without Zeke.
Okay.
I don't want to get into that, but I think Zeke, we could use him more of a fullback at this point. Bring them in some two-back sets. Zeke's an amazing blocker, pass blocking. I don't see why we don't move him into something where he can block for Pollard as well. Just have him, like the 49ers offense loves doing that with their fullbacks. Let them both go through the hole together. Zeke can take out that first guy, being the power back. Pollard comes in behind, wiggles through, gets an open field. I would love to see them utilize both in some different ways. Kellen Moore is a creative guy. I think he can figure it out.
Yeah, what do you think, Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, you still want to get Zeke the ball. I mean, if you have like an injury, of course, that's great. And if one gets tired, you can put him in and he can produce like a #1 running back.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Cowboys 6-2, as I mentioned on the season. This NFC East division is surprisingly overperforming. Eagles are still undefeated. Giants also sitting at 6-2. What are your thoughts, Caleb, on just the first half of the season, basically now?
The season has gone pretty well, especially considering the Dak injury. They're only losing 2 games. They played some good teams as well, so they've had a great season. The defense has looked great, best defense in the NFL, and the offense is starting to get rolling, and now the Dak's back.
I love that take. What do you think, Brandon?
Everything's been way better than expected. I mean, I didn't think that we would beat both Super Bowl competitors. We beat the Rams and the Bengals so far this season. We lost to the Bucs, and now the Bucs don't even look that powerful anymore. So some of our losses are to teams that I think we could beat at this point. I think we have another Eagles game coming up later in the season, probably our hardest one coming up. I think we have a good shot in that game with Dak back in. If the offense keeps competing like this and the defense gets a break going into this bye, we're going to come back healthy and strong. I'm excited. I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's bye week this Sunday and then a really tough game at Green Bay. Green Bay's only 3-5, but they always seem to have Dallas's number. Caleb, what would you say is just the overall state of this Cowboys team now 8 games through?
Yeah, they're looking really good. They're looking like they're going to be one of the top teams, not only in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. Obviously, the Eagles are up there, but they're still definitely competing for the #1 spot.
For sure. I think this bye came at the perfect time. We had 13 players show up on the injury report for last week's game. We don't have any injury report for this week because it's our bye week. But we had a lot of players get injured on the field last game. I think it's a really good time to get healthy, come back out, and get some momentum. We have a decently hard schedule going into the rest of the year, but it's only because our in-division games are the hard ones. Going against the Giants, Eagles still. We have a game against the Vikings as well. But I think a lot of these are winnable games. We have the makings of a team that can win any and every single game. It's just, can we put in a complete game every single week?
Now let's talk about this NFC East division. Cowboys obviously already beat the Giants and the Commanders, lost to the Eagles, but still a lot up for grabs in this division here as we get into the stretch run of the season. What does Dallas need to do to win this thing, Brendan?
We have to beat the Eagles. We have to. I think it's Christmas Eve, December 24th, Cowboys-Eagles game. We have to win that game. And I think the best scenario for us to get a division win is if the Eagles, they still have 2 games against the Giants. If they lose just one of those and we win out the rest of our division games, which means beating the Eagles, Washington, and Giants one more time, we'll have a 5-1 record. In our division, the Eagles will have 4-2. And as long as we match their record, we get the conference spot. We'll be one of the first through 4 seeds, probably 1 or 2.
Well, it's bye week this week for Dallas and then full steam ahead against Green Bay next Sunday, so make sure to catch that one. Coming up next, it's women's basketball season here at UNT as they tip off tonight. Stay with us. We're going to break down their non-conference schedule and what's ahead for the Mean Green. Stay with us.
Somos papi chulo, recuerden, don't mess with Texas, y'all.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him, he's gotta come home with me. Not anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. he is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
Welcome back into Sportszone. Well, basketball season is finally back here at the University of North Texas as the women's team tips off tonight with their one and only exhibition game of the season. And here to preview the non-conference schedule of the women's basketball season are analysts Matthew Wagner and Drew Maurer. Guys, we have a lot of good games on tap for the men's and women's teams. We're going to focus on the women's today. Lots of good games on this non-conference schedule specifically. Matthew, which one intrigues you the most?
I'm going to have to go SFA. I think, you know, in seasons past, we've looked good against them, right? And this is a team that is an exciting young team, and I cannot wait to see them play SFA. I'm going to be at that game, and it's going to be really exciting.
That's a great in-state rivalry there. Drew, which one are you most looking forward to?
Well, I've actually got two. My first one is Wichita State. We actually lost to Wichita State by 3 last year, so it's going to be a rematch. Obviously, making those additions is going to be a really good game. Oklahoma State as well. Obviously, Oklahoma State last year, I believe, went 9-20. Not a good year for them, but they look to bounce back. They actually got a few transfers, and they look really good on paper. So it's going to be a scary matchup. I believe it's in the Super Pit. No, it's at Oklahoma State. Probably a little tougher of a game not being in the pit here, but you know, that'll be a good one to watch out for.
And there may still be a little bit of bad blood there because if you remember, Oklahoma State stole Nia Boyd from that Mean Green team a couple years ago, so maybe some bad blood. I'm looking at that SMU game, guys. I always love that rivalry. They came here last year, and the women's team just kicked their butt. So I'm hoping they can go on the road and do that.
They were 9-20.
You see this December schedule, 0 home games in the month of December. It's going to be really tough for this team. Matthew, how big of a role is this going to play in their season outlook?
A huge role because, you know, last year they were 3-7 on the road, and that was a tough schedule for them last year. You know, I think, you know, the best way to conquer these road demons, get some fans out there, right? Make this feel like a home game as best you can. But you're probably not going to end up, you know, going to any of these, you know, far away places. But you at least go to some of the ones close. Go to SMU, go to SFA. So I think that's definitely where you can go and get some, you know, fans in there.
Yeah, they're going to need to win some of these November games because as you see, as you get into December, it gets really tough. So Drew, them being on the road for an entire month, how big of a factor is that going to play?
It's a big factor, especially because those big games that I just mentioned are in December. We play Oklahoma State in December, playing SMU in December, playing Howard and Georgetown in December.
That's gonna be tough.
All those non-conference games in December are going to be tough. They're opponents that we don't see a lot going into just an unknown stadium. It's going to be tough. But I know they can pull it out. I know they've got it. So, I mean, like to Matthew's point, I think bringing that home energy to each and every one of these games is going to be really important.
Well, the one leading the team into all these games is going to be head coach Jaylee Mitchell, guys.
Absolutely.
Lots of talk here about Jaylee Mitchell because she is the only player to be hung in the rafters for this women's team. So that probably went into why she got the job here. But Matthew, there have been some struggles over the last few years under Jaylee Mitchell. So is this a make or break year for her?
You know, the team's still relatively young, right? I don't think you after this year, depending on how the season goes, I don't think you fire her, right? You still have a lot of sophomores and juniors on the team, a little bit of some seniors, right? But you know, let them grow, let them, you know, find their own, and then I think, you know, maybe next year, maybe even this year, you find an elite squad, and I think it's going to be a good season for her.
And she did a great job of finding diamonds in the rough in this transfer portal too. Lots of new players on this roster. But Drew, is this a make or break year for Jaylee Mitchell?
I honestly don't think it is. The Mean Green were really good last season and ended up making the NIT. You know, want to make the NCAA tournament, but the NIT will settle for. The men's made the NIT too.
Right.
So,
exactly.
And we like our men's team. We like our women's team too, though. And I mean, I don't think it is. I think she's done a really good job these past few years, and I don't think that her job's at stake at all. I think, honestly, this squad's going to be maybe better than last year's. We got some key transfers in, and we'll talk about those later. For sure.
And Quincy Noble still here, guys.
He's still here.
14.4 points a game. Kind of the unquestioned leader of this team, I think it's safe to say, 100%. Over the last few years.
100%.
How good does Quincy Noble have to be for UNT to win CUSA, Matthew?
She's got to be lights out, right? I mean, last year she was absolutely elite. Her points per game were through the roof, right? But I think with this team, you have to kind of rely on her a little bit more, but you cannot do that the entire season because you can't burn her out, right? If you burn her out, it's not going to look good for this UNT women's team. That's why they're going to struggle, right? If they ride her the whole season, it's not going to be looking good.
Yeah, definitely need the supporting cast to step up just a little bit. But Drew, how much of this weight is placed on Quincy Noble this season?
A lot of the weight is placed on her. We have 3 incoming freshmen as well as a lot of transfers, a lot of young talent on this team. She's going to have to be the leader, being one of the more veteran players on this team. She's going to have to step up big time. And I mean, I know she can. She averaged 14 points last season. And stepping up is something she's done in the past. She can do it again. I know she can.
And you mentioned the new players on this roster, Drew. Lots of new players and only a few returning starters from last season. Obviously, Quincy Noble's still here. What players are you looking at, Drew, that need to step up this season?
Obviously, Jocelyn Moore is going to be the one coming in from Incarnate Word. Really, really good player. Just struggled with efficiency, though, and that's who everyone's going to be talking about. But I honestly really, really liked Iriana Hardaway. She is a freshman from Arkansas and won 5A MVP in Arkansas in 2021, excuse me. She also led her team to a state title, and I believe she had 34 points in that state title game. Wow. So definitely a really, really diamond in the rough to watch out for, a really, really good player.
Matthew, who else are you looking for?
I got Kendall Magruder, right?
Yeah.
Last year, she was one of the top 3-4-point shooters on the team, and I look for her to have more, shots this year and probably get that percentage up because they're going to rely on her for that outside shooting, and I expect her to have a good season this year.
Well, it's bound to be an exciting season for this team as they look to just take one more step forward and get to the CUSA Championship this season. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. They get going tonight in the exhibition game against Texas A&M International, so make sure to go to the pit and catch that one. Well, coming up next, it is homecoming week here at UNT, and it's time for one of our analysts to test students' knowledge of sports. This is going to be fun. Stay with us.
Your zip code. Just one number different, and you might have a whole other life. Different school, different job, different dreams, different problems. In America, the zip code you're born in can determine your future. The Y works to change that, with programs and services that help everyone thrive, no matter who you are or where you're from. For a better us, support your local Y today.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
Welcome back into Sports Zone. Well, it is homecoming week here at the University of North Texas as students look forward to the wild weekend ahead. We sent analyst Nick Ogelle out to campus to test students' knowledge of sports. So Nick, before we get this segment, just what was your thought process and what was the reason behind making this segment for us?
So, everybody's on Twitter, everybody's on Instagram and everything, and technically anybody can break some news or be somebody that is a journalist and everything like that. And everybody knows everything, right? So I wanted to put that to the test and just make sure people really knew what they were talking about. And even if they didn't, see if they would still try.
And how did you decide what kind of questions to ask people?
Oh, just that. So the way this works, some of these questions aren't exactly going to be real or truthful, just like on Twitter or the internet. So what you do is I ask them the question and just see if they would respond. I kind of structured them like some of them are just trivia, like where is it, and it should be obvious, but it's too obvious, or just what's going on now, but that's not really what's going on. You'll see. You'll see. I can show you better than that.
And what kind of students did you try to target with this? Any in particular?
There's no targeting. No targeting. No. I just went around to whoever would answer the questions, really.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and roll this segment.
Hold on.
Nick wants to do it.
Okay.
He got it. It's his segment, guys.
This is my segment, guys. Thank you so much for showing it. And they call it Man on the Street, but I had to change up the title. Welcome to the Eagle's Nest. Take it away. Age of social media, anyone can be an expert. So we're here to put UNT students to the test and really see where their sports knowledge is. And what better place to do that than right here?
Right here at the UNT Intramural Flag Football Tournament, where several organizations and fraternities gathered to see who was the best of the best.
A few questions for you. We're on? Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Andres.
Emma Burns.
Charity. Like they call me Bobby Souffle.
Desiree.
And
Jamie.
Garrett Norwood.
Nathan Klein.
UNT softball.
How do we feel about Coach Seth Luttrell? Do we know who that is?
No, I hate him.
Okay, awesome. There we go. How do we feel about him entering the CUSA Coaching Hall of Fame as we are moving up to the next conference?
I don't think he deserves it.
Why is that?
I just don't think he's a good coach.
Okay, and that's based off of
Me.
Off of you. How do you feel about that?
I don't know what they're putting him on the Hall of Fame for.
How do you feel about Coach Seth Luttrell entering the CUSA Coaching Hall of Fame?
I mean, shoot, honestly, that's a pretty big honor. I feel like as a coach, you always want to be with the top grades. You want to be recognized. You know, you want to have every accolade you can get, and I'd say that that's a pretty big deal. You know, I'd say he's probably feeling pretty blessed right now.
Okay, and UNT is 3-3 right now. How do you think this affects LeBron's legacy?
I think that it's probably just a little obstacle on the road, you know, being just straight flat out record right now, but he's probably not stressing. He's been here before, you know, he's pretty experienced, so I think he's going to find a way to get us back on the right path.
Okay.
Where are the Kansas City Chiefs? What state do they play?
Kansas?
Kansas City. Ding ding! Ding ding! That's I'm not gonna lie to you, dude.
It's Missouri.
Good job. What state do the Kansas City Chiefs play? Kansas. Cool. Kansas. I hate to break it to you, but that is not where they play.
Kansas City.
Better quarterback, Austin Aune or you?
Well, considering I don't really play quarterback on the team that I'm actually playing for today, I'm actually the backup, but well, the guy has a lot of experience playing baseball. You know what I'm saying? He's 28, 29. He has a whole,
Almost 30.
Almost 30, yeah. He has his own family. He's really worked a lot on his game. But, I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. I'm kind of cold in the backyard, you know what I'm saying? I'm just not looking at the arm.
Look at his arm.
I don't know. I got the cannon, so, I mean, they call me the MVP of the Flag Football League. So, I mean, I don't know. You can probably, hey, Seth Luttrell, if you're watching this, just put me on the team real quick.
Austin Aune is the quarterback for UNT football.
See?
Who is a better quarterback? Austin Aune or, and you know this person, Austin Aune or you?
Me. You want to see me out there? You want to see me out there?
See these guns? Austin Aune or you?
Oh, that's very tough. I would have to say me.
Well, guys, it seems like the folks out here are not short on sports knowledge nor confidence. They have nothing to work on. I have no notes. Back to you, Justin.
Well, it always surprises me just how oblivious some UNT students are about the sports teams. I gotta love the guy trying to play backup quarterback for us. I don't know what that was, but that was funny. How surprised were you by just the results of this, and maybe what answer surprised you the most? Because there were some funny ones.
No, definitely, Andreas. You miss all the shots that you don't take. So definitely shout out shout out Coach Ogelle and everything. But yeah, that one, and then just how people continued to go on after they knew they didn't know the answer to the question, and they were like, one person said, I think he deserves it. Well deserved. This team's gonna go far and such and such. Not knowing anything about the record. Now that's perfectly fine. If you're gonna say it with confidence, absolutely.
And I love trying to tie Seth Luttrell's legacy into LeBron discussion somehow. I love it. Great job with the segment.
That's what happens when they get into the Eagles' nest. It's pressure. The big birds. I'm the big bird. I'm surrounding them. They don't know what to do when I'm standing over them like that. The lights and everything like that. That's welcome to the Eagles.
Well, I love the Eagles nest segment.
Yes.
I love the name change, guys. And it's homecoming week here at UNT. Make sure to catch the game. Look at these beautiful uniforms. Be out at Apogee on Saturday for the game, and we'll see you next week. NTTV_sports on Instagram and Twitter. We'll see you next week.